Human researcher heals injured Triceratops. What happens next will shock you. How will this story unfold? To find out, watch the video to the end. But first, please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to get more stories like this. The sun dipped low over the sprawling sanctuary, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Dr. Emily Carter adjusted her utility belt, her boots crunching against the gravel path as she finished her evening patrol. The sanctuary stretched for miles, a haven for creatures thought to have been lost to time. It was a groundbreaking project, a culmination of decades of research and the marvels of genetic engineering. Dinosaurs roamed freely within carefully monitored zones, their movements tracked by state-of-the-art technology. Emily, a paleobiologist with a lifelong fascination for these ancient creatures, had spent years studying their behavior. But no amount of preparation could have readied her for what she was about to encounter. As she approached the dense foliage bordering Zone 3, a low, guttural groan stopped her in her tracks. The sound was unlike anything she'd heard before, a mixture of pain and desperation that sent a chill down her spine. Emily froze, her hand instinctively moving to the tranquilizer pistol holstered at her side. "Hello," she called out cautiously, her voice barely above a whisper. The foliage rustled, and her heart pounded in her chest. She edged closer, her flashlight cutting through the twilight gloom. What she saw made her breath catch in her throat. Lying on its side, partially hidden by ferns, was a juvenile Triceratops. Its flank was torn, the injury deep and raw, as if inflicted by the claws of a larger predator. Blood matted its vibrant scales, and its breathing was labored. The Triceratops tried to lift its head, its large, expressive eyes meeting Emily's. "Oh no," Emily murmured, dropping to her knees. The sight of the injured creature tugged at her heartstrings, and her professional instincts kicked in. She reached for her radio, her voice urgent. "This is Dr. Carter. I found an injured juvenile in Zone 3. Possible predator attack. Requesting immediate assistance." As she waited for a response, Emily rummaged through her emergency kit, pulling out gauze, antiseptic spray, and a small syringe loaded with a sedative. The Triceratops let out another groan, its body trembling with pain. Emily approached slowly, keeping her movements deliberate and calm. "It's okay," she said softly, her voice steady. "I'm here to help you." The Triceratops flinched as she knelt beside it, its massive head shifting slightly. Emily extended a hand, allowing it to catch her scent. The creature hesitated but didn't move away. Taking that as a good sign, she began cleaning the wound, spraying antiseptic over the torn flesh. The Triceratops let out a low, rumbling sound, its eyes fluttering shut as the sedative began to take effect. "It's going to be all right," Emily murmured, her fingers working quickly and efficiently. By the time her team arrived with a transport crate, she had stabilized the creature as best as she could. Together, they carefully loaded the young dinosaur onto a flatbed truck, its breathing slow but steady. As the truck rumbled toward the medical facility, Emily sat beside the Triceratops, her hand resting gently on its uninjured side. "You're a fighter," she said softly. "We'll get you through this." The sanctuary's medical bay was a state-of-the-art facility, designed to handle emergencies involving creatures of all sizes. Tara, as Emily had started calling the juvenile Triceratops, was carefully placed in a secure enclosure lined with soft hay. Veterinarians and paleobiologists worked tirelessly to treat her injuries, their movements precise and coordinated. Emily stayed by Tara's side, her presence a constant through the long hours of treatment. She fed the young dinosaur a mixture of leafy greens and specialized supplements, her voice a soothing presence as Tara adjusted to her new surroundings. Days turned into weeks, and Tara began to show signs of improvement. Her wound, though still tender, was healing steadily, and her energy levels had started to return. She responded to Emily's presence with soft, rumbling noises, her large eyes following the researcher's every move. "You're doing so well," Emily said one morning, crouching beside the enclosure as Tara nibbled on a handful of ferns. "You'll be back on your feet in no time." Tara let out a low grunt, her massive head nudging Emily's hand. The gesture was one of trust, and it filled Emily with a deep sense of fulfillment. But the recovery wasn't without its challenges. One evening, Emily noticed that Tara's wound had developed a slight swelling, a sign of a possible infection. Her heart sank as she quickly called in the veterinarians, who confirmed her suspicions. Time was of the essence, and they decided to administer a new antibiotic serum that had been developed specifically for the sanctuary's dinosaurs. The serum was experimental, designed to adapt to the unique biology of the creatures. Emily stayed by Tara's side as the injection was administered, her hand resting gently on the Triceratops's rough hide. "You're strong," she whispered. "You'll get through this." The following days were tense. Tara's condition fluctuated, her body reacting unpredictably to the serum. But slowly, the infection began to subside, and her strength returned. What Emily didn't expect, however, were the changes in Tara's behavior. At first, it was subtle. Tara started mimicking Emily's movements, tilting her head when Emily tilted hers or following her with an intensity that felt almost curious. One afternoon, Emily noticed Tara using her horns to nudge a small wooden block around her enclosure. The movement wasn't random. It was deliberate, as though she were trying to solve a puzzle. "Interesting," Emily murmured, jotting down notes in her journal. Over the next few days, she observed more of these behaviors. Tara began bringing objects to the edge of her enclosure: sticks, stones, even scraps of fabric left behind by the veterinary team. She seemed to be trying to communicate, her actions precise and purposeful. Emily was fascinated. She set up a series of simple challenges for Tara, placing objects in her enclosure to see how the young dinosaur would interact with them. To her astonishment, Tara quickly figured out how to move a lever to access food and used her horns to arrange stones into patterns. "This is beyond instinct," Emily said during a team meeting, her voice filled with excitement. "She's learning, adapting. I think the serum might have enhanced her cognitive abilities." As Emily continued to document Tara's progress, her bond with the young Triceratops deepened. Tara's behaviors grew more complex, and her interactions with Emily became increasingly sophisticated. She greeted Emily with soft, rumbling noises each morning and seemed to anticipate her routines, positioning herself near the enclosure door whenever Emily arrived. One evening, as Emily sat by Tara's enclosure, the young dinosaur approached her and gently nudged her with her head. Emily smiled, resting her hand on Tara's rough hide. "You're amazing, you know that?" she said softly. "You've come so far." Tara let out a low grunt, her large eyes meeting Emily's. It was a moment of connection that transcended words, a bond forged through trust, care, and an unspoken understanding. As Tara's recovery continued, the sanctuary staff became increasingly intrigued by her behavior. While other dinosaurs responded to human interaction with varying degrees of wariness or indifference, Tara's actions were undeniably unique. She wasn't just surviving. She was thriving, learning, and forming connections. Emily couldn't shake the feeling that the antibiotic serum had played a significant role in unlocking these new cognitive abilities. One morning, Emily entered the medical bay to find Tara waiting near the edge of her enclosure, her horns nudging at a small pile of objects she'd gathered overnight. Sticks, stones, and even a stray glove were arranged in a curious pattern. Emily tilted her head, studying the arrangement. "You've been busy," she said with a smile, stepping closer. "What are you trying to tell me?" Tara let out a soft grunt, her tail swishing as she nudged one of the stones closer to Emily. Intrigued, Emily crouched down and began rearranging the objects, mimicking Tara's earlier movements. The young Triceratops watched intently, her head tilting as Emily worked. When Emily stepped back, Tara moved forward and adjusted the arrangement, almost as if she were correcting it. Emily laughed, her amazement growing. "You're teaching me now, huh?" Over the next few weeks, Emily began designing simple puzzles and tasks to test Tara's abilities. She placed food inside a small crate with a sliding lid, watching as Tara used her horns to nudge the lid open after only a few attempts. She also introduced a set of colored blocks, observing as Tara learned to group them by color and even stack them into small towers. The sanctuary's other researchers gathered to watch these sessions, their skepticism gradually giving way to fascination. "This isn't normal," one of the veterinarians remarked as Tara completed another task. "I've never seen anything like this." Emily nodded, her gaze fixed on Tara. "She's not just intelligent, she's intuitive. There's a level of understanding here that goes beyond instinct." The sanctuary director, Dr. Alan Reyes, called a meeting to discuss Tara's progress. "If this behavior continues, we need to consider the implications," he said, his tone measured but excited. "This could redefine how we understand dinosaur cognition and their potential." While Tara's progress thrilled the team, it also raised questions. Could her heightened intelligence affect her integration into the larger sanctuary environment? Would other dinosaurs recognize her as a peer, or would her differences make her a target? Emily wrestled with these concerns as she prepared Tara for the next phase of her recovery, transitioning out of the medical bay and into a semi-open habitat. The new enclosure was designed to mimic a natural environment while still allowing the team to monitor her closely. The day of the move arrived, and Emily stood by Tara's side as the young Triceratops stepped hesitantly into her new habitat. The space was vast, filled with lush vegetation, a small pond, and plenty of open ground for exploring. Tara sniffed the air, her tail swishing as she took her first tentative steps. "You've got this," Emily said softly, her hand resting on the enclosure's railing. "It's all yours." Tara let out a low, rumbling call, her eyes scanning the new surroundings. Slowly, she began to explore, her movements cautious but confident. Emily watched with a mixture of pride and apprehension, her heart swelling as Tara adapted to her new environment. For a while, everything seemed to go smoothly. Tara thrived in her new habitat, her strength and confidence growing with each passing day. But one evening, as Emily reviewed the sanctuary's surveillance footage, she noticed something that made her stomach drop. A group of raptors had been spotted near the perimeter of Tara's habitat. The electric fencing that separated the different zones of the sanctuary was designed to keep predators out, but recent storms had caused damage to several sections of the barrier. Emily's pulse quickened as she watched the raptors pacing along the fence line, their sharp claws and teeth glinting in the dim light. She immediately alerted the sanctuary's security team. "We need to reinforce the fencing near Tara's habitat," she said, her voice urgent. "If those raptors find a weak point, she's vulnerable." The team mobilized, working through the night to repair the damage. Emily stayed by the control room monitors, her eyes glued to the live feed of Tara's habitat. The raptors hadn't breached the fence yet, but their persistence was unnerving. The following night, disaster struck. A powerful storm rolled through the sanctuary, its fierce winds and torrential rain wreaking havoc on the already weakened fencing. Emily was jolted awake by the blaring sound of the alarm system, signaling a containment breach. She raced to the control room, her heart pounding. "What happened?" she demanded, her voice sharp. "The raptors," one of the security guards replied, his face pale. "They've breached the fence near Tara's habitat." Emily's blood ran cold. Grabbing her radio and a tranquilizer rifle, she sprinted toward the habitat, rain soaking through her clothes as she navigated the muddy paths. When she arrived, the scene before her made her stomach lurch. 3 raptors had entered the habitat, their sleek, predatory forms circling Tara. The young Triceratops stood her ground, her horns lowered and her tail swishing defensively. Her rumbling calls echoed through the storm, a mixture of warning and defiance. "Tara!" Emily shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. She raised the tranquilizer rifle, aiming for the nearest raptor. The shot hit its mark, and the predator let out a sharp screech before collapsing into the mud. But the other 2 raptors were undeterred. One lunged at Tara, its claws slashing through the air. Tara reared back, her powerful horns striking the predator's side and sending it sprawling. The 3rd raptor circled behind her, its movements calculated and deadly. Emily's heart raced as she fired another tranquilizer, narrowly missing the 2nd raptor. The predator turned its attention toward her, its yellow eyes gleaming with malice. Before it could attack, Tara let out a deafening roar, a sound so powerful it seemed to shake the ground beneath them. She charged at the raptor, her massive frame colliding with the predator and knocking it to the ground. The raptor scrambled to its feet, retreating with a series of sharp hisses. Emily used the distraction to fire another tranquilizer, this time hitting her target. The second raptor collapsed, leaving only one still standing. Tara faced the remaining predator, her horns gleaming in the rain-soaked light. The raptor hesitated, its predatory instincts battling against the realization that it was outmatched. With a final, frustrated screech, the raptor turned and fled, disappearing into the stormy night. Emily collapsed to her knees, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Tara stood nearby, her sides heaving as she let out a low, rumbling call. Emily crawled toward her, her hands trembling as she reached out to touch the young dinosaur's flank. You did it," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "You protected us." Tara let out a soft grunt, nudging Emily gently with her massive head. The gesture was one of trust and gratitude, and it brought tears to Emily's eyes. By the time the storm subsided, the sanctuary staff had arrived to secure the habitat and tend to the injured raptors. Tara, though shaken, was unharmed. Emily stayed by her side throughout the night, her heart swelling with pride and relief. The incident left the sanctuary staff in awe. Tara's actions had not only saved Emily, but had demonstrated a level of intelligence and bravery that defied expectations. Dr. Reyes called another meeting, his tone filled with urgency and excitement. "This changes everything," he said. "Tara isn't just a survivor, she's a protector. We need to study this further." Emily agreed, but her focus remained on Tara's well-being. The young Triceratops had proven herself in ways no one could have anticipated, and Emily was determined to ensure she received the care and respect she deserved. "You're incredible," Emily said softly as she stroked Tara's flank. "And I'm so lucky to know you." The days following the storm were a whirlwind of activity at the sanctuary. Security teams worked tirelessly to repair the fencing and strengthen the containment systems. The raptors that had been tranquilized were safely relocated to their designated habitat, but the incident left everyone on edge. Emily, however, felt a deep sense of pride as she watched Tara roam her enclosure. The young Triceratops had not only survived the encounter but had shown remarkable courage and intelligence. The bond between them had grown even stronger, solidified by the events of that fateful night. Dr. Reyes gathered the staff in the main conference room to discuss the implications of Tara's actions. "What we witnessed wasn't just instinct," he said, his voice carrying the weight of their shared realization. Tara made calculated decisions. She protected Emily and stood her ground against predators far more dangerous than herself. The room buzzed with murmurs of agreement. Emily stood up, addressing the group. "I've been documenting Tara's behavior for weeks, and her intelligence has been evolving rapidly since her recovery. I believe the serum we administered played a role, but it's more than that. She's learning from her environment. And from us." Dr. Reyes nodded. "Then it's time to take this research to the next level. I want a dedicated team to study Tara's cognitive development and her interactions with other dinosaurs. This could redefine how we understand not just Triceratops but all dinosaurs." As the team began implementing the new research initiative, Emily took on the role of lead investigator. She spent hours with Tara each day, observing her behavior and designing new challenges to test her abilities. One of the first experiments involved introducing Tara to a herd of herbivorous dinosaurs in a larger enclosure. The goal was to see how she would interact with her own kind. Emily watched anxiously as Tara stepped into the new habitat, her posture cautious but curious. The herd, consisting of adult and juvenile Triceratops, paused their grazing to observe the newcomer. For a moment, the air was thick with tension. Then, one of the juveniles approached Tara, its head lowered in a gesture of curiosity. Tara responded by tilting her head and letting out a low, rumbling call. The sound seemed to reassure the herd, and they resumed their grazing, allowing Tara to integrate seamlessly. Emily exhaled a breath she hadn't realized she was holding, her heart swelling with pride. "She's doing it," she murmured to herself, jotting down notes. "She's part of the herd." The following weeks were transformative for Tara. She not only adapted to life within the herd, but began exhibiting behaviors that set her apart. She often positioned herself near the younger dinosaurs, shielding them from potential threats and guiding them toward the best grazing spots. Emily and the other researchers noticed that the herd seemed to rely on Tara, looking to her for cues and direction. "She's becoming a leader," Dr. Reyes observed during one of their monitoring sessions. "This level of social behavior is extraordinary." Emily smiled, her gaze fixed on Tara. "She's always been extraordinary," but Tara's growing intelligence and leadership abilities also raised new questions. How far could her cognitive development go? Could she form meaningful relationships with humans beyond her bond with Emily? And perhaps most pressing of all, what did this mean for the future of the sanctuary and its mission? To explore these questions, Emily proposed an ambitious experiment, introducing Tara to controlled interactions with humans other than herself. The idea was met with both excitement and caution, as the team debated the potential risks and rewards. "We've seen how protective she is of Emily," one researcher argued. "But will she extend that trust to others? Or will she see them as a threat?" Emily's response was firm. "If there's one thing I've learned about Tara, it's that she responds to kindness and patience. If we approach this the right way, I believe she'll surprise us." The first interaction took place in a neutral area of the sanctuary, a spacious, enclosed clearing with plenty of room for Tara to move freely. Emily stood by her side as two other researchers entered the clearing, their movements slow and deliberate. Tara's posture tensed at first, her head lowering slightly as she watched the newcomers. "It's okay, Tara," Emily said softly, placing a reassuring hand on her flank. "They're friends." One of the researchers extended a hand, holding a bundle of fresh ferns. Tara sniffed the air, her large eyes narrowing as she assessed the situation. After a moment, she stepped forward cautiously, her massive head dipping to take the offering. The researchers held their breath as Tara chewed the ferns, her tail swishing in what Emily recognized as a sign of contentment. She let out a soft grunt, her posture relaxing as the researchers took slow, careful steps closer. "She's accepting them," Emily said, her voice tinged with awe. "She's learning to trust." The success of the interaction paved the way for more experiments, each one building on the last. Tara began recognizing the sanctuary staff, responding to their presence with the same curiosity and calm demeanor she showed Emily. Her bond with humans grew stronger, and her role as both a leader within her herd and an ambassador for her species became undeniable. The sanctuary held a press conference to share the groundbreaking developments with the world. Journalists and scientists from across the globe gathered to hear about Tara's journey and the implications of her cognitive evolution. Tara represents the next frontier in our understanding of dinosaurs, Dr. Reyes announced to the captivated audience. Her intelligence, social behavior, and ability to form bonds with humans challenge everything we thought we knew. This is not just a scientific breakthrough. It's a reminder of the connections that unite all living beings. The press conference brought a surge of attention to the sanctuary, with visitors and researchers eager to witness Tara's remarkable abilities. Emily remained at the center of it all, her bond with Tara a testament to the power of trust and care. But amidst the excitement, she couldn't shake the feeling that their journey was far from over. One evening, as Emily sat by the edge of Tara's enclosure, the young Triceratops approached her and nudged her gently with her massive head. Emily smiled, resting a hand on Tara's flank. "You've come so far," she said softly, "but I think there's still more to discover." Tara let out a low, rumbling call, her eyes meeting Emily's with a depth that seemed almost human. It was a moment of connection that transcended words, a bond forged through shared experiences and unspoken understanding. As the sanctuary prepared for its next chapter, Emily felt a sense of anticipation and gratitude. Tara had changed her life in ways she could never have imagined, and she knew their story was only just beginning. Together, they would continue to push the boundaries of what was possible, one step and one discovery at a time. The sanctuary bustled with activity following Tara's rise to prominence. Researchers from around the world submitted requests to study her unique abilities, while journalists sought exclusive interviews with Emily. Despite the influx of attention, Emily remained focused on Tara's well-being, ensuring that her newfound fame didn't disrupt the young Triceratops's routine. Tara, for her part, seemed unbothered by the attention. She continued to thrive in her habitat, her leadership within the herd becoming even more pronounced. Emily often watched in awe as Tara guided the other dinosaurs, her movements deliberate and purposeful. It was as though she understood her role, not just within the herd but as a bridge between dinosaurs and humans. One day, as Emily reviewed footage from the sanctuary's cameras, she noticed something unusual. Tara had been leading the herd along the edge of the enclosure, her head low as if searching for something. The other dinosaurs followed her closely, their movements mirroring hers. Curious, Emily decided to investigate. She made her way to the habitat, stopping at the spot where Tara had been seen lingering. The ground was uneven, the soil disturbed as though something had been digging. "What are you up to?" Emily murmured, crouching down to examine the area. As she brushed aside the loose dirt, her fingers brushed against something hard and smooth. She dug further, her curiosity mounting until she unearthed a small, polished stone. The stone was unlike anything she'd seen before, its surface etched with faint, intricate patterns. Emily's brow furrowed as she turned it over in her hands. Could it be a fossil, or something else entirely? Before she could ponder further, a low rumbling call drew her attention. Tara had approached, her massive frame casting a shadow over Emily. The Triceratops let out a soft grunt, her gaze fixed on the stone. "Is this what you were looking for?" Emily asked, holding the stone up for Tara to see. Tara nudged it gently with her nose, her tail swishing as she let out another low call. Emily couldn't shake the feeling that Tara had led her to this discovery intentionally. She pocketed the stone, her mind racing with possibilities. What else could Tara be trying to communicate? The discovery of the stone sparked a wave of excitement within the sanctuary. Emily shared it with Dr. Reyes and the other researchers, who immediately began analyzing it. The patterns etched into its surface were unlike anything they'd seen, raising questions about its origins and significance. As the research progressed, Tara continued to exhibit behaviors that defied explanation. She began leading the herd to specific areas of the habitat, pausing to dig or nudge the ground with her horns. Each time, the team uncovered more unusual stones, each one bearing similar patterns. "It's like she's guiding us," Emily said during a meeting. "She knows where these stones are, and she wants us to find them." Dr. Reyes nodded, his expression thoughtful. "If that's true, it raises even more questions. How does she know? And why does she want us to find them?" The sanctuary's research team worked tirelessly to analyze the stones, using advanced imaging techniques to study the patterns. Preliminary results suggested that the etchings were not natural. They appeared to have been created deliberately, though by what or whom remained a mystery. As the weeks passed, the discoveries continued. Tara's guidance led the team to uncover an entire cache of stones buried deep within the habitat. Together, the stones formed a complex arrangement, their patterns connecting to create a larger design. Emily and the researchers stood in awe as the full picture came into view. The design resembled a map, its lines and symbols pointing toward an area beyond the sanctuary's boundaries. Emily's heart raced as she studied the map, a sense of anticipation and wonder washing over her. "What do you think it leads to?" one of the researchers asked, their voice hushed. Emily shook her head, her gaze fixed on the map. "I don't know, but I think Tara does." The sanctuary's board of directors approved an expedition to follow the map's clues. Emily was chosen to lead the team, with Tara accompanying them as a guide. The decision was met with both excitement and apprehension. Taking a dinosaur outside the sanctuary was a risk, but Tara's intelligence and bond with Emily made her the perfect companion for the journey. On the morning of the expedition, Emily stood by Tara's side as the team prepared their equipment. The Triceratops seemed calm but alert, her gaze scanning the horizon as though she already knew the path ahead. "You ready for this, girl?" Emily asked, resting a hand on Tara's flank. Tara let out a low grunt, her tail swishing in what Emily interpreted as agreement. As the team set out, the sanctuary staff watched with bated breath. The journey ahead was uncertain, but the potential for discovery, and the bond between Emily and Tara gave them hope. The expedition led the team through dense forests, rocky terrain, and open plains. Tara proved invaluable, using her strength to clear obstacles and her instincts to guide them along the path indicated by the map. Emily marveled at how seamlessly the young Triceratops navigated the unfamiliar landscape, her movements confident and purposeful. After several days of travel, the team reached a remote valley nestled between two towering cliffs. The area matched the final destination on the map, and a sense of anticipation hung heavy in the air. Tara paused at the edge of the valley, her posture tense. She let out a low, rumbling call, her gaze fixed on a cluster of rocks in the distance. Emily followed her line of sight, her heart pounding as she spotted what appeared to be an entrance, a narrow opening carved into the cliffside. "This is it," Emily said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We've found it." The team approached the entrance cautiously, their flashlights cutting through the dim light. The air was cool and damp, and the sound of dripping water echoed softly within the cavern. Tara followed closely, her massive frame moving with surprising grace. As they ventured deeper into the cave, they came across more etched stones, their patterns glowing faintly in the light. The designs seemed to grow more intricate the further they went, culminating in a large chamber at the heart of the cavern. The chamber was breathtaking. The walls were lined with stones similar to those found in the sanctuary, their patterns forming a massive, interconnected design. In the center of the room stood a large stone pedestal, its surface etched with symbols that seemed to pulse faintly with light. Emily stepped forward, her breath catching in her throat. "What is this place?" she murmured, her voice filled with awe. Tara moved to stand beside her, her gaze fixed on the pedestal. The young Triceratops let out a low, resonant call, the sound reverberating through the chamber. As the call faded, the symbols on the pedestal began to glow brighter, their light casting intricate patterns across the walls. The team stood in stunned silence, the weight of the moment settling over them. Emily's mind raced with questions. What had they discovered? And how had Tara known to lead them here? The chamber glowed with an otherworldly light, casting shifting patterns across the stone walls. Emily's pulse quickened as she approached the central pedestal, her footsteps echoing softly in the cavern. Tara stood beside her, her massive frame still and watchful, as if she, too, understood the significance of the moment. The symbols etched into the pedestal were unlike anything Emily had seen before. Their intricate designs seemed to flow together, forming a language that was both ancient and deliberate. She reached out, her fingertips brushing the cool stone, and felt a faint vibration, a pulse of energy that sent a shiver down her spine. "What do you think it means?" one of the researchers asked, their voice hushed. Emily shook her head, her eyes fixed on the glowing patterns. "I don't know, but it feels intentional, like it's trying to tell us something." The team set to work, photographing the chamber and taking detailed notes on the symbols. Tara remained by Emily's side, her large eyes scanning the room as though searching for hidden clues. Every so often, she would let out a soft rumble, her gaze lingering on specific sections of the wall. "Look at this," one of the researchers called, gesturing to a section of the wall where the patterns formed a distinct spiral. "It's repeated here and here," they said, pointing to two other spots in the chamber. Emily followed their gaze, her brow furrowing. A spiral? Could it be a map? Or a timeline? "It's possible," Dr. Reyes replied, studying the designs with equal fascination. "But if that's the case, where does it lead?" As the team continued their analysis, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that Tara held the key to unlocking the chamber's secrets. The young Triceratops had led them here with unerring precision, and her behavior suggested an understanding that went beyond instinct. After hours of exploration, Emily noticed Tara focusing on a section of the chamber's floor. The Triceratops used her massive horn to scrape away layers of dust and dirt, revealing another etched design, a series of concentric circles radiating outward from a central point. Emily knelt beside her, brushing away the remaining debris with her hands. The design was intricate and mesmerizing, its patterns glowing faintly as she touched them. Tara let out a low rumble, nudging Emily gently with her head. "You're onto something, aren't you?" Emily murmured, her heart racing. She called for the team, who gathered around the newly uncovered pattern. "This looks like a focal point," one researcher said, their voice tinged with excitement. "Maybe it's connected to the pedestal." Emily's mind raced with possibilities. Could the circles be some kind of mechanism? A key to activating the chamber? She glanced at Tara, who stood patiently beside her, as if waiting for Emily to figure it out. With Tara's help, the team began experimenting with the design. Emily placed her hands on the outermost circle, feeling the faint pulse of energy beneath her palms. She pressed gently, and to her amazement, the circle shifted slightly, its patterns glowing brighter. "It's a pressure plate," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "Tara, can you help me?" Tara responded immediately, using her horn to nudge the next circle. The patterns pulsed in response, their light growing stronger. The team watched in awe as Emily and Tara worked together, moving from one circle to the next until the entire design was illuminated. As the final circle clicked into place, the pedestal in the center of the room began to hum. The symbols etched into its surface glowed brightly, casting beams of light that converged on the ceiling. The chamber shook slightly, and a section of the wall slid open, revealing a hidden passage. The team stared in stunned silence, the weight of the discovery settling over them. Emily turned to Tara, her heart swelling with gratitude and pride. "You did it," she said softly, resting a hand on the Triceratops's flank. "You're incredible." Tara let out a soft rumble, her gaze fixed on the newly revealed passage. Without hesitation, she began moving toward it, her steps steady and deliberate. Emily and the team followed, their flashlights cutting through the darkness as they ventured deeper into the cavern. The passage led to another chamber, smaller but equally mesmerizing. Its walls were lined with what appeared to be ancient carvings, scenes depicting dinosaurs interacting with humans. The images showed Triceratops, like Tara, standing beside figures who seemed to guide and care for them. Emily's breath caught in her throat as she studied the carvings. This changes everything," she whispered. "It's proof that humans and dinosaurs coexisted, or at least, that someone envisioned it." Dr. Reyes stepped closer, his eyes wide with disbelief. "It's impossible, but the evidence is right here." The team worked quickly to document the chamber, their excitement tempered by a sense of reverence for what they had uncovered. Emily couldn't shake the feeling that the carvings were a message, one meant to bridge the gap between past and present, between species separated by millions of years. Tara, meanwhile, seemed at ease in the chamber. She moved from carving to carving, her gaze lingering on the images as though she recognized them. Emily watched her closely, her mind racing with questions. Had Tara's intelligence been influenced by more than the serum? Could the carvings hold the key to understanding her abilities? As the team prepared to leave, Emily placed a hand on the central carving, a depiction of a human and a Triceratops standing side by side, their postures mirroring her and Tara's own bond. "Thank you," she murmured, her voice barely audible, "for showing us this." The journey back to the sanctuary was filled with a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. The team's discovery was groundbreaking, but it also raised countless questions. Who had created the carvings? What had happened to them? And how had Tara known to lead them there? Back at the sanctuary, Emily and the team presented their findings to the board of directors. The room was filled with gasps and murmurs as they revealed the images of the carvings and the glowing patterns in the chamber. "This discovery has the potential to reshape everything we know about prehistoric life," Emily said, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "But it also underscores the importance of our bond with these creatures. Tara has been our guide, our protector, and our partner. We owe her, and all the dinosaurs, our respect and care." The board unanimously approved further research into the chamber and its implications. Plans were made to secure the site and continue exploring its secrets, with Tara playing an integral role in the process. In the days that followed, Tara's fame grew even more. Her actions during the expedition solidified her place as a symbol of hope and discovery, a living bridge between the ancient world and the present. Visitors to the sanctuary marveled at her intelligence and grace, while scientists and researchers hailed her as a marvel of nature and science. For Emily, the bond she shared with Tara had deepened beyond anything she could have imagined. Together, they had uncovered a truth that transcended time, a truth that spoke of connection, trust, and the enduring legacy of life on Earth. As she stood beside Tara one evening, watching the sun set over the sanctuary, Emily felt a profound sense of gratitude. "You've changed everything," she said softly, resting a hand on Tara's massive head. "And I'll never stop learning from you." Tara let out a low, rumbling call, her golden eyes meeting Emily's. In that moment, words were unnecessary. Their bond was unbreakable, a testament to the power of trust and the wonders that could be found when two worlds came together. The weeks following the expedition marked a new chapter for both Tara and the sanctuary. News of the discovery had spread like wildfire, drawing attention from scientists, historians, and enthusiasts around the world. The hidden chamber, with its intricate carvings and glowing symbols, had sparked debates and theories that ranged from the plausible to the fantastical. Emily, however, stayed grounded in her focus. For her, the carvings weren't just artifacts. They were a testament to the bond she shared with Tara. And while the world marveled at the implications, Emily's priority was ensuring that Tara remained at the center of the sanctuary's mission. The team had made several return trips to the chamber, carefully documenting every detail. The carvings were being analyzed by experts in linguistics and symbology, while geologists worked to determine their age. Early results suggested that the site was far older than any known human civilization, raising questions about who or what had created it. Tara accompanied Emily on each visit, her presence steady and reassuring. The young Triceratops seemed to understand the significance of the chamber, moving with a calm purpose as she guided the team through its intricacies. Emily often found herself marveling at Tara's intuition, her actions a constant reminder of the connection they had forged. One afternoon, as the team worked in the chamber, Tara let out a low rumble, her gaze fixed on a section of the wall that had gone unnoticed. Emily approached, her flashlight illuminating a faint outline etched into the stone. "What is it, girl?" she asked, brushing away the dust. As the outline came into focus, Emily's breath caught in her throat. It was a map, similar to the one formed by the stones in the sanctuary, but far more detailed. The map depicted the chamber at its center, with lines radiating outward to other locations. Emily's mind raced as she studied the design. "It's a network," she murmured. "There are more chambers. This is just the beginning." The discovery of the map reinvigorated the team, setting in motion plans for further exploration. Dr. Reyes proposed expanding the sanctuary's reach to include these newly identified sites, with the goal of uncovering more about the mysterious carvings and their creators. Emily felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. The prospect of uncovering more secrets was thrilling, but she also worried about the toll it might take on Tara. The young Triceratops had already done so much, and Emily was determined to protect her from being overburdened by the weight of their discoveries. One evening, as Emily sat by Tara's enclosure, she voiced her concerns. "You've given us so much," she said softly, her hand resting on Tara's flank. "But I don't want to push you too far. You've earned your rest." Tara let out a soft grunt, nudging Emily gently with her massive head. It was a gesture of reassurance, and Emily couldn't help but smile. "All right," she said. "We'll keep going. But only if you're ready." The sanctuary's preparations for the next expedition took several months, during which Tara continued to thrive. Her leadership within the herd remained unwavering, and her bond with Emily grew even stronger. Visitors to the sanctuary marveled at her intelligence and grace, while researchers hailed her as a symbol of the potential for coexistence between humans and dinosaurs. As the team set out for the next site indicated on the map, Emily felt a sense of anticipation tempered by gratitude. She knew that none of this would have been possible without Tara, whose courage and intelligence had guided them every step of the way. The journey to the new site was challenging, taking the team through rugged terrain and dense forests. Tara proved invaluable once again, using her strength to clear paths and her instincts to navigate the unfamiliar landscape. Emily often found herself marveling at how seamlessly they worked together, their bond unspoken but unbreakable. When they reached the site, the team was met with another breathtaking discovery. The chamber, though smaller than the first, contained carvings that expanded on the story told in the original chamber. The images depicted dinosaurs and humans working together, their interactions suggesting a symbiotic relationship. Emily felt a lump rise in her throat as she studied the carvings. "It's not just coexistence," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "It's collaboration." They relied on each other. Dr. Reyes nodded, his gaze fixed on the intricate designs. "This changes everything. If these carvings are accurate, it means that dinosaurs weren't just animals, they were partners, allies." Tara stood beside Emily, her gaze lingering on the central carving. The image depicted a Triceratops standing protectively over a group of humans, its posture strong and resolute. Emily felt a wave of emotion as she looked at Tara, the carving a reflection of the bond they shared. "You've always known, haven't you?" she whispered, her voice filled with awe. "You're part of something so much bigger than any of us." As the team continued their work, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that their discoveries were leading to something monumental. The carvings, the maps, and Tara's extraordinary abilities all pointed to a connection that transcended time, a bond that had been forged long ago and was now being rediscovered. One evening, as the team prepared to leave the new site, Emily noticed Tara standing at the edge of the chamber, her gaze fixed on the horizon. The young Triceratops let out a low, resonant call, the sound carrying a sense of purpose. Emily approached, her heart pounding. "What is it, girl?" she asked, resting a hand on Tara's flank. Tara turned her head, her golden eyes meeting Emily's. In that moment, Emily felt a profound sense of understanding. Tara wasn't just a guide or a protector. She was a bridge between two worlds, a living testament to the connection that bound them. As the sanctuary's research continued, Emily and Tara became symbols of hope and discovery. Their bond inspired countless people, reminding them of the beauty and power of trust, compassion, and collaboration. And while the mysteries of the chambers remained unsolved, Emily knew that their journey was far from over.